Hello, everyone. This is Kathleen Heisley with Exploring Dimensions for All. And I've been thinking about making this broadcast for days, but there have been a lot of things I've been concerned about. I've been concerned about the number of YouTube channels that are being deplatformed and taken off of the internet and things like that. And I'm also concerned about how some of my subscribers may react to what I'm going to say or people's opinions and so forth. So I decided to make this video right now before I think too much more about all those things. And I'm going to be vague when I talk about this, but I think most everyone will understand what I mean. Okay, so when we consider the situation that we've been going through in the last a little over a year now, I think there are a lot of questions that a lot of people are asking about it. There's something that I have not seen, or at least I don't think I've seen it out there, and that is the possibility that there may be an alien force that is manipulating all of this behind the scenes. That's actually what I think is going on intuitively. Now, I intentionally did not channel about this. I did not remote view about this. And I'm just one person in the billions of people on the planet. So any opinion that anyone might have about what's going on is only as good as that person's opinion. And I recognize that about myself as well. But if we don't ask the question, is it possible that an alien presence is causing people to act strangely, is causing the mass manipulation of a lot of thought about ourselves and what's potentially we should be afraid of and what we should be doing about it? If we don't ask the question, then we won't be able to even begin to help ourselves. So, at one point, about I think it was 2019, I did do a remote viewing, which was not a blind remote viewing, which means that it has a higher chance of being false. I did a remote viewing, and it was about a fire, which was fairly public and it was fairly well known in the media. And I did it about the cause of the fire because I'd gone up and I'd looked at the fire in California and it hadn't looked right to me. And when I looked at the fire, I got a feeling about it. So then I went and I did a remote viewing a couple of months later, and I got the feeling that there was potentially, and I could be wrong about this, I'm completely willing to admit that I may be wrong about this, possibly very wrong, but I got the feeling that there was an alien presence that that had the capacity to create a, it's like a level of sleepiness or somnambulance among officials. I'm not even going to call them government officials, but among officials and workers responsible for protecting people and managing the public. So it was a level of disconnection from what they would normally do or how they would normally think, kind of like putting somebody under a spell. So, what I'm proposing is that there's a possibility that an extraterrestrial force, whether from another planet or from another dimension, has decided that they want to take over the planet. And yes, I'm very aware of Project Blue Beam. I'm aware of the man who was dying and talked about a fake alien invasion that was going to be talked about. And I'm not taking those things off the table. I'm talking about what I intuitively think. So, what I intuitively think is that there's a really good chance that an alien force is working with officials at a high level, has them under some level of control with regard to their consciousness and what their decision making is, and so that they're not able to actually think about it in the quite the right way, and that they are making kind of like, when somebody's under hypnosis, you can make a lot of suggestions to them about what to do, right? So let's just say that a lot of the officials responsible for the rest of us are under some type of hypnosis from an alien force. And then those people are acting not like humans would normally act. And then they are imposing a lot of guidelines and regulations, and they can very easily manipulate the thinking of the rest of us via, cell phone technology and public education and so on and so forth. And I'm also not saying that the situation we're being faced with is not a real situation. I believe that it's a real situation, or that it most likely is a real situation. I'm talking about how it's being managed and the fact that it exists at all. Um, I do not know what to do about this. My purpose here is to just pose the question: could it be an alien force that has us under some sort of a hypnotic spell? And if so, are we taking actions that are kind of a bit misdirected, like they're not directed at the actual force that we need to be concerned about? Okay, because if there's something behind all this, we'd better direct our attention to what's behind all this. We have very powerful scientists, very knowledgeable scientists. We have some very powerful people on the planet. We have some very creative thinkers on the planet. But right now, we're all fighting kind of against each other. So there's a group that, is very concerned about a particular thing. I think you know what I'm talking about. And they're making a lot of recommendations about what's to be done about that. There's a lot of other people getting really angry at those people and fighting against all of the regulations that they're proposing to deal with the thing that I think you know what I'm talking about, okay? If there's a third force out there that's got everybody under some sort of a hypnotic spell, and we are not addressing our creative and scientific attention to that force, then we're not even starting to deal with the real problem. Okay, so I want to pose that because I know there's people out there that are smarter than me and can think about this in a more creative way than I can. Now, when I've channeled, it seems like most of the channeling I get is about geological and earth related energetic changes being behind things that are happening. I can't really question what I'm getting in when I channel because I'm channeling it. It's not coming from me. So this here, this thought, this idea is coming from me. So I'm not sure what to do. I would say that it's very, very critical right now that everybody think very clearly about how they normally think, how they've thought during their lifetimes, what patterns of thought are familiar to them, and what patterns of thought might be coming through that are not familiar to them, that feel like they might be coming from outside, because I do believe that there is a degree of mass hypnosis going on here, and it affects, I think, almost everyone, including me. I've noticed it. It has occurred. I don't believe it's coming from human officials. I think they're under the mass hypnosis. In addition, even the elites, I believe the elites are under the mass hypnosis. I do. I think they are. Now, I'm not a big giant fan of, like, David Icke, for example. I do watch some of his stuff. I'm not a giant fan. I'm not a giant fan of his theories. Um, he points to some of this. I don't feel like I like the take that he's got on things. It doesn't resonate with me. Nevertheless, I think there's something we need to think about here as a collective group, and I want to start getting a little bit braver on my own channel about advancing what I think, and because it's my channel, there's not very many people listening to me in the first place, so I might as well, right? Might as well have that little effect that I want to have, and I'll follow this up with additional authentic thoughts that I have and try to be a little bit less afraid to come out as my true self. I think at this time we all have a responsibility to come out as our true selves and to be as authentic as we possibly can, and contribute our creative efforts and our creative thinking efforts to the common problems that we have. Okay? So that's my message for today. Hopefully this video stays on. If you want to attack this or support this in the comments section, that's fine. I've got an ego too. I might take negative comments off just because my personality might have a hard time with those. We'll see. We'll see what I do. I never know what I'm going to do in the future because I'm a person, right? So I've got lots of, I've got ego, I've got pain, I've got my own issues, like everybody does. But anyway, wanted to pose that thought because if this is all about an outside force affecting us, creating things, and then kind of corralling us where it wants to get us so that it can kind of take over the planet and do with it what it wants. And this is not even coming from people, not even the Illuminati, not even elites, not even anything we think is responsible. Then all of us have a little bit of a problem, okay, that we need to direct our creative thinking towards. So those are my thoughts. All right, everybody, I'm gonna come back. It's tax season. I'm doing my taxes. I'm thinking about things. Monetizing things becomes difficult. I'm trying to figure out more about remote viewing. I want to get more. I want to do a bit of training on remote viewing. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to make that a monetized thing or not. I'm still thinking about all that. I'll be back later and have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye bye.